Hello, 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 hello. Listen, I'm a little late because all the things that could go wrong were going wrong. So that's what had happened. But you know what? We are going to push through. At least that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to try my hardest. I mean, I'm doing it. So, there's just that. Hey, girl, hey. So welcome to It's All Relative, where I invite you to join me on my journey of self-discovery, resilience, and personal growth. My perspective and storytelling. I aim to inspire, educate, and spark meaningful conversations about life, relationships, and happiness. As we embark on this adventure together, prepare to delve into the depths of the human experience and uncover our interconnectedness, right? Because I feel like, listen, I be having stuff to say and I be going through stuff, and I feel like if I go through it, maybe y'all go through it. So let's talk about it. Last week, we talked about the absentee parent and how that just overall affects us, right? This week, we're going to be talking about the absentee parent and how it affects the other parent. You know, the one that stay around, that one. Okay, boom. So today's quote, you are brave and strong, even on the days you feel like you're not. Your love and dedication are the building blocks of your children's futures. And that is just so freaking true, right? As we have to deal with, handling our business on our own. So last week we talked about, again, the absentee parent. And so we talked about how to have the conversation with the missing parent. We talked about using anger to help us reach our goals. We talked about how it's not the child's fault, right? It is and can be about how the other parent, how they feel, right? Maybe they're just too embarrassed to deal and face you, right? Or it could be about the beef that they had with, your parent, the one that stuck around, right? So it could be a myriad of things, but just know it's never about you. It was never about you, and it'll never be about you, right? Boom. So there's that. So I wanted to discuss, this week, the other parent, because I think that gets lost in the conversation sometimes, right? We're angry and carry on about, how the other person and what they're not doing and so on and so forth. But the thing that we don't ever really talk about is how it affects the person that stays. So again, right, I've shared with you that I have been a single parent. I got married and now I'm a single parent again, and also raised in a single parent household. And yes, my dad lived, in my neighborhood. Again, we're here in Poughkeepsie. It is 4 square miles. So my dad was never more than 10 minutes in a car ride away from me. Right. And so there are a couple things. So number one, I just want to get right on into it. Right. I ain't even ask y'all about how y'all Labor Day was. I mean, maybe we could do that. How was your Labor Day? Did you have a good one? I did not go to a barbecue, honey. I was just over it. I wanted to lay in my house. That's what I did. And I was like, ooh, I'll clean. No, I didn't. Didn't we talk about this before? I feel like we need a 3-day weekend. Like, I need a Monday Eve. We can have Saturday, Sunday, and then Monday Eve. Because I got stuff to do on the weekends, and I cannot cram meal prepping, shopping, cleaning, ironing, preparing for the following week. I can't do all that on Sunday, okay? I need to rest, right? Y'all know? Okay. But also, really quickly, I had a blessing way. My good sister is my baby sister. She's having a baby. Yay! And she had a blessing way. So at first I was like, now what now? What's the blessing way? Now what you want me to do? Now how this go? And she explained, and I did a little research. Come on, Google University. A blessing way is a celebration of the mom. We are ushering the mom into her motherhood journey. And so it was such an awesome way to come together with women who are moms, right? Who definitely have a mom at some point. They've had a mom. But to really celebrate motherhood and prepare her for this journey. Because let me tell you something, honey. There ain't no hood harder than damn parenthood. You hear me? And that's just what I'm finna say about that. All right? Okay. So I went left. Here we are. Boom. Coming back to the right. So here's the things that we're going to talk about. Number one, right? we're going to talk about just how mother freaking hard it is to be a single parent, right? And here's what makes it hard. I gotta face my kid, right? Like when the other parent is like, I can't do it, I'm not gonna do it, whatever. I have to look that kid in the face and I have to see their disappointment. That's not easy. I don't like that. It don't feel good, right? And it causes me to question like, oh, Jesus, what did I do? Why didn't I do enough? We don't talk about the guilt that we feel as single parents. I don't know many people, let me just tell you, that went into this thing like, hell yeah, I want to do it by myself. I don't know that that's the case. Now, maybe perhaps the relationship didn't work out. And so, I will say this, like, I am super uber, mama bear about my kids. And there is something, it's like, you want them to come be with you for a little while. I was like, I don't know if I like that so much, right? In the beginning. And so I had to be forced. We went to court and they asked for visitation. And he got visitation every other weekend. And when I had to experience that, honey, the floodgates open. That's all I wanted. I was like, oh yeah, like come on over here and get your every other weekend, right? I just needed to have that experience. I needed to know that like, this kid is going to be okay. I mean, it's hard, right? Because it's an extension of us. Like I carried this kid, the first one for, only 6.5 months, but hey, you know what I'm saying? There's just that. But I carried this kid for a time. And so I was a little bit selfish about, how that all worked, only because I had been a single mom so early. That's all I had known. It was me and this freaking kid the whole freaking time. So now you want to come in and take this kid and have this kid stay with you, like away from me. That didn't feel so good. But when it happened, I understood the blessing that it was, and I was very open to that process. And y'all don't judge me. I done broke 2 nails. Honey, I'm over these nails, okay? They're about to come off, all right? But anyway, so again, I went left, but I'm coming back right. Again, I did not have kids on my own and think, yippee, I want to do this by myself. And if I can just be honest about parenting for a minute, I had no clue what it really entailed to become a parent. I really didn't. You see, babies and whatnot. You see people with babies and you have no clue what it really entails. And I'll say that because I was 17 when I became a mom. I just couldn't have envisioned what it was and what it entails and all that it was going to require of me. I just didn't know. And I really couldn't have known that until they got older. Because when they're little, they're cute. You know what I'm saying? You're like, they're fluffy and squishy. And everybody want to babysit, PS, right? And they don't cost a whole bunch because now remember, I was 17, so my mother was paying the bills. I didn't understand, rent and mortgage, and health insurance and things of that nature. I did not understand that. Okay. Let me say that. And shout out to the people that just joined. Hey, y'all. And some of them that just joined single parents as well. So we might have ourselves a lively discussion here. Come. Hey, Judy, don't, hold, earmuffs, okay? Because I got some things that I'll be saying. All right, thanks. So you know what I'm saying? So that's that. I did not go into having kids because I wanted to do it alone. Was it my decision? Yes, it was my decision. I got pregnant, not on purpose. It was a surprise. Whoopsies. And I just did not know how to live life without having this kid. That was just that. Put it out there, okay? But I didn't have this kid because I wanted to do it alone. And I was okay with the fact that like we wouldn't be together. That's fine. We don't have to be together, but I expected that you would do your part in helping to raise this kid because you know what? You were just as irresponsible as I was. And here we are with this decision that I made. So there's that. And we could talk about that at a later date because I get into it with my brother, honey, about that. So again, you don't have to see the disappointment on this kid's face, right? I have to see that disappointment and they're asking why and how come and so on and so forth. And I've got to make all these excuses as to why not. And my other feeling is like, when I get told and I've been told like, I ain't got it. Go get it though, right? Like go get it the same way I gotta go get it, the same way I gotta find it. How come you don't have to do the same? Just wondering. Okay. All right. So the second thing, and I touched on that a little bit, was guilt. You know what I mean? Like, again, we didn't want to do it by ourselves. And sometimes it's just, sometimes they ask, where's, daddy? Sometimes they ask, where's mommy, right? For the moms that didn't, that were absentee, because it does happen. I do know of a couple of people whose mamas, just was like, I ain't with it, and no, thank you very much. And so they're the absentee parent. So when I'm speaking from this point of view, I'm not talking about any specific gender. I'm just saying the parent that's not there. In my case, it was my dad. In my case, it was, the parent to my children. There's just that. And they happen to be he's. And here's this. You think I want to go to the doctor's appointments by myself? You think, I want to be the only one taking off from work and the only one that has to schlep back and forth and know all of these, all of the things. And then again, when the bill comes and I go, hey, can you help me with this bill? And I'm told, nah, I ain't got it. And then I got to figure it out on my own, playing with my own credit. Is that fair? Like, I don't know. And why is that okay? Like, why is the absentee parent okay to throw their hands up in the air? I just don't get it. Right. So there's that. And I can tell you, as a person who had young kids, right, I had to go to work. I had to come home. No, I had to pick up the kids, right? So I got to pick the kids up. Maybe I have to go grocery shopping. Perhaps I've got to cook dinner. Then I've got to help with homework, right? They've got to have some playtime. And then it's time for getting ready for bed. And when they're young like that, you think that's easy? And then have to do it all over again? I'm exhausted, yo. Like, for real. It's tiring. And I don't wish to do it alone. And again, just because we're not together doesn't mean that you then have to put it all on me. There are positive co-parenting relationships, and I don't have any problem with anybody throwing their hands in to help. Hey, son, thank you. So I also have had friends, right? Like, they've had to quit jobs because they had to, the job didn't align with the hours that, they needed childcare, right? Like, if they're out of school, then I can't work, right? And so sometimes the shift changes. So my friends, they've gotten fired from jobs because they called out too much, because they have a sick kid. It's hard, like, legit. And again, I have family members, their kid was constantly in trouble at school, and no fault of this kid's own, right? The kid was diagnosed with being on the spectrum, and they were in public school. So there had to be medication. I've had friends that have almost gotten their kids taken away because they didn't want to put them on medication. So you're stuck between a rock and a hard place. But when I'm doing it by myself and I don't have any support, what am I supposed to do, right? So another thing, third thing, number 3, is that society likes to point the blame at single parents, right? There was this thing going around about single moms, like, oh, most people that are in jail, they were raised by a single parent in a single parent household, and they do better if they were with the other parent, and so on and so forth. And I say again, do you think that people went into having kids so that they could do it on their own? Not a problem that we're not in relationship, but I just didn't think that you would just leave me high and dry to handle said situation. The kid by myself. I just wasn't thinking that. I thought like maybe you might be a decent stand-up person and, you might actually help. Silly me. And I'm not always talking about my own situation. I'm just saying in general as the person who stays around. So society likes to tell us that we picked the wrong person. We didn't put God first. Like, society likes to tell us all these things that we did wrong, but society doesn't seem to have many conversations for the parent that left. So help me understand. I'm the one that recognize, like, this is a tall order. It's a situation. I got myself into this. Like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to give it my very best. And I'm doing all that I can do. I'm the one that's here, and yet you want to tell me about all the things I did wrong? Come on. Because also, let's not play this game as though people don't change, right? And when we're dating, sometimes, right, we meet their representative. I may not have been able to know that this person would do this. I might have thought like, hey, they're really gonna stick around and they're really gonna help me out no matter what. They're gonna be there for their kid. I might have thought that. That is maybe what they portrayed. Maybe that's what they told me. I don't freaking know. So why is it though? I think, before we go throwing stones at people, and their choices or just the way that their lives shook out, like, can we give them a little grace? Right? I do believe that every parent, I think they're doing the absolute best that they can do, that they know how to do, that they have capacity to do. Is it always right? No. Right? No, maybe it's not, but they're doing the best that they can. They're the ones that stayed. They're the ones who made the bed and they're lying in it. Right? They didn't just get up and walk away. And I'm not talking about, because there are some absentee parents that are fighting, to see their kids and be a part of their kids' lives. And I'll tell you this, keep fighting. Keep fighting. It will work out for you. You will get, what it is that you're looking for. So can some people make it difficult? Yeah, because of their bitterness and their feelings, and so on and so forth. So, but just keep fighting. Do what's in the best interest of your kid. And the best interest of your kid is you being there, right? So, there's that. And then the fourth thing is, I feel like as the parent that stayed, right? As the present parent. So we talk about absentee as the present parent. I feel like I'm in a fight and I feel like my one hand is tied behind my back, right? And I'll explain that. Why is that? The kids are watching. My kids are watching. So I want to let go and, let go and let have, right? I want to go in. I want to cuss. I want to scream. I want to do all these things because maybe perhaps the absentee parent, right, is doing the same behind the scenes, but the kids are watching me. So I have to rise above and be the bigger person, quote unquote. And I don't want to be. How about that? I don't want to be. Sometimes I want to meet fire with fire. That's what I want to do. You're not helping. I want to call you a no good, trifling, lazy, sorry piece of crap. That's what I would like to do. That's what I'd like to do. I feel like doing that, but I can't do that because if I do that, right, then the kid is like, ooh, mom, you're the reason why, dad isn't here, or dad, you're the reason why mom isn't here. So you never want that to be the case. And you have to protect your kid from knowing the truth about their other parent, right? So, and what kids sometimes do, they romanticize, their life and the other parent. My life would be so much better if I lived with my dad. And that is crushing to the parent that's here, right? And what we do, we get defensive because our feelings are hurt. We go, oh, that's what you want to do? Then go ahead, go over there and be over there. Meanwhile, right? I've got all the thoughts, all the feelings, and, I'm really hurting on the inside because I did the best that I knew how to do. I'm doing the best that I know how to do. And it feels like it's not appreciated, right? And it hurts. At the end of the day, it hurts. So, we also have to, not only do we have to fight the good fight and we have to pull up, ourselves by our bootstraps and we have to hang in there and do the absolute best that we can do, but we also have to hide our real and true emotions because our kids are watching, right? So that's difficult too. Sometimes it feels like this person's watching me drown. They know I'm drowning. They're watching me drown and they are not going to throw me, a life vest. That angers me, right? Because I wouldn't be in this situation if you didn't help me create it. How about that? Come on, somebody, right? We just gonna call a thing these days. And so, there's that. So number 5, and don't worry, I won't be before you long because that's it. Number 5 is child support. We are talked about as the present parent if we should take our the absentee parent to court for child support. And I know I've spoken about this just as a topic, period, but I just want to put it in here. How is it that I get a bad rap when I have helped make a kid and I'm doing the very best that I could do taking care of said kid, and I'm asking for the bare minimum, right? Because again, child support is the absolute bare minimum that the state says that the non-custodial parent has to pay. It's the bare minimum. In New York State, they say 17%. 17% is the bare minimum. For some people, right, if they work, a minimum wage job, or they don't work at all, that could be $50. Please tell me, what do you think $200 in today's day and age with the cost of inflation is going to do to help me take care of this kid? I'm waiting. Right. Because it's not going to do much. That's what. Okay. Let me tell you that it's not going to do much. And then to get on the line and act like, oh, you're just bitter and you're just angry. What? Bitter and angry? Yes. And you know what? Let's also talk about this. Yes, God. Yes, I'm bitter. And yes, I'm angry that I'm over here taking care of a kid by myself that I did not make by myself. Yes, I'm bitter and I'm angry. And you're not helping. And now I got to go take time off from work, right? To file this paperwork, to go in here to get, these coins that you should be willing to give me. And I'm so tired of hearing, oh, she just want to get her hair and her nails done and so on and so forth. Here's the thing. What do you think all of my money goes to? Taking care of this kid, right? And hopefully there's something a little extra so that, yes, I too can have the big fun with the wretched, right? So no, women are not out here, the custodial parent is not out here going to court to get child support because they are bitter and they are angry. That's not the reason. They want HELP. They would like help. Please and thank you and stat. And let me just also tell you, right? I pay child support. That's not the answer to everything because there are extra things. So when it's time for doctor's visits and the doctor says that they need additional things, like braces. Braces might be like $8,000. So because you pay $200 a month, I'm supposed to carry $8,000 on my own? I'm just wondering. I would like somebody to get this math together for me. Okay. All right. And thank you. So now, guys, if you need help, right? Talking about this thing, wanting to get it off your chest, wanting to share, I'm around, you know what I'm saying? Hit your girl up. And so, you might be asking, Sherelle, you talking all about this stuff and for what? And I'm glad that you asked. Again, sometimes, right, we just feel better knowing that we're not alone, understanding that people feel the same exact way that I feel. It's why support groups work. Sometimes we just want to know, like, oh, you too, you're going through it too. It makes us feel better, right? And so if I have experienced this, or mothers that I know, and let me tell you, I know plenty of parents that are single, and having to do it all on their own, and, not because they want to, but just because that's the situation they found themselves in, right? So that's why I share these things. So, you want to know, Sherelle, how do I deal with all of this though, right? Here's how you do it. So first you have to acknowledge your feelings, right? Feel the feels. Have at it. You know what I'm saying? And share them with your tribe, your good girlfriends, your homeboys, your family members, whatever it is. Never the kid, because that's not okay, right? But you need to get it off your chest because it will show up in different ways. So I can tell you that I used to be very overwhelmed and I didn't even have the words. I didn't know what it was. I just knew that, if I stepped on a Lego, let me tell you something, I was throwing everything away. That was that, because I just didn't have capacity. I just didn't have it. And so my boys can tell you that I have traumatized them. And also because my mom did it to me. So I thought that it was the way that you do things. If I said, you know what I'm saying, get your room together or clean your room and you didn't do it, I just took everything and swiped it and put it all in the middle of the floor. So there were days I would come home from school and everything was in the middle of the floor. I tell you, that's how, for me, I was like, well, I got my room clean, right? She would take things out the drawers, out the closet. The whole room got clean and I started throwing stuff away that I didn't want anymore. Right? So that's all that I knew. And I understand today that that is, traumatizing to my kids and that it wasn't helpful, but I didn't know any better. And so I did the very best that I could do. Right? But it shows up in different ways. And so that's why you want to make sure that you are talking about it and you're not stuffing it down, right? Because I tell everyone, think about a balloon. And when you have a balloon and it blows, you blow air into it and it almost pops, right? You've got to let some of that air out. And so talking about your frustration and your feelings and your disappointment and your hurt, right? And your anger, all of those things, it allows the air to come out of the balloon so that you don't feel like you're going to pop. I used to feel like I was going to pop and I just didn't have the words to express that. I didn't have a way to tell anybody that, like, yo, I'm overwhelmed, people. I just didn't have any way. So make sure that you're sharing that, right? And you might have to change your approach with the other parent. So for anyone that knows me, I'm a little spicy and I stay locked and loaded. It's a trauma response. So when they used to, what I feel like, try and play with me, here I came, guns a-blazing. And so, you said some old craziness to me, I'm at your door. I'm talking crazy. I'm texting, good, sorry piece of, I'll let them have it, right? And it became so acrimonious, right? Like they didn't want to hear from me. I didn't want to hear from them. And so I had to change my approach. And so now, even though the other parent in my mind is not doing what I think they should do, what I think they could do, my approach is not to let them have it, right? I hold on to that. I hold it in and I go talk about it to my therapist over there. I go talk about it to my girlfriends. I journal about it so that I can truly process it to make sure that I'm not carrying that anywhere else. I don't want to bleed on people that didn't cut me. And so I make sure that I take time to think about the appropriate response, right? And so sometimes if you jab, then I come back with a sawed-off shotgun. And I just want to make sure that the response is appropriate. And also, here's this. Not everything deserves a response. So they can act up. They can do some tomfoolery. And you know what? All right. Because I don't want them to be a part of my life. Real talk. I don't really want to give them a whole bunch of energy. So I work very, very hard to process what I'm feeling in the moment so that I can get over it and be done with it. Because I just want to let it go. And so the other thing I would say, forgive yourself. Forgive yourself, because there have been times where I felt a lot of guilt. Like, why did I choose this person? You know what I'm saying? How did I get here? And I put it all on me. But the truth is, I just didn't know how they were going to respond to parenthood. And that's for them to figure out and work out, because again, I know I'm doing the absolute best that I can do, the only thing I can do. And so, that's what it is. You have to forgive yourself. When you know better, you do better, right? Just like I told you, I used to go off all the time, right, on my kids. And I didn't know how traumatic that could be. But now that, I know better, I know more information, not even better. I know more information. I have a different skill set. I have more tools in my toolbox to utilize. I don't do that anymore. Right. So now I can talk. And also I've only got one more left in the house. So I can talk with her and I can share with her like, hey, this is how I'm feeling. And this is going to be my response. So if you do not like this, if you are not looking forward to that response, please do something different. Right. I can use my words. And she is now learning about capacity and what that means. And so I let her know I don't have capacity at this particular moment. So I'm going to need you to do something a little different, right? So I've had to forgive myself again. for the choices that I made. I just didn't know. I can't know. Some situations, you just can't know how they're going to play out until after you've gotten in them. And that's just that. And parenthood is one of those. It don't matter whether you're not around, an absentee, a present parent, whatever. Once you become a parent, you're a parent. And that's hard stuff, right? And so somebody somewhere gonna come looking for you to have a conversation with you, right? So there's that. So forgive yourself, honey. That's it. You didn't know better, and that's okay. And so lastly, it's only for a certain amount of time, peeps. Listen, kids turn 21 at some point, God willing, huh? Hello, somebody. So I only got to deal with this individual. You got to think of it sometimes like a jail bid. And maybe they think about it the same way that I think about it. And let me tell you something. I'm okay with that. Amen. All right. It's only for a certain time. You get a countdown. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, now, like, I had a really acrimonious relationship with one of my children's dad. And you know what? They're no longer a part of my life. Look at God. Won't he do it? Yes, because my kids are of age and I ain't got to do it. They ain't got to talk to me. I don't got to talk to them. It's wonderful. And all the things that I had to deal with, I ain't got to deal with no more, honey. I'm about to start shouting right now when I think about what I done been through. I done came from a mighty long ways, okay? So also just think about that. It's only for a limited amount of time. So this thing that you're feeling, this frustration, this hurt, this anger, this guilt, the shame, the embarrassment, all of the things and the feelings that you could possibly be having, it's but for a time. You will come out of that, and the child gets older. It does get a little easier, like this much. Like, listen, this much easier. Okay, that's how much easier it gets. Because my aunt told me, the bigger the kid, the bigger the problem. And she ain't never lied. My aunt, let me tell you something about her. She ain't no liar. All right. So yes. But you get a little bit of reprieve, right? You don't have to do it all on your own at that point, right? Because your child will get to know the other parent for themselves, and they get to speak to that other parent for themselves, or not speak to the other parent for themselves. So you get to free yourself. You get to be, you know, you get to say what's really on your mind. You ain't got to be mindful of who's watching, right? So there is a light at the end of the tunnel. I thought that I would give that to you. All right, so what have we talked about today? We have talked about, right, acknowledging your feelings. We've talked about possibly changing your approach with the other parent. We've talked about, you know, the overwhelm that is possible for you to feel. We talked about it being super hard. It just is. The guilt and the feelings that you might feel. But again, we talked about forgiving yourself. And we talked about how, you know, you have to rise above even when you don't feel like it, because your kids are watching and you don't want them to think that you're the reason why. Kids just don't understand that mommy's acting like a maniac right now because, you know, somebody has done something, right? Because they've hurt your feelings, right? Kids don't understand that. You know what I'm saying? Or that, you know, they, it seems like they're comfortable to watch you and I drown, and I didn't do anything to them, right? So sometimes we feel like I don't deserve this because I didn't even give you, you know, enough for you to give me this. Like what you're giving me, you know, it just doesn't seem like the punishment fits the crime. But you know what? It just is what it is. But we've also talked about that you got to share it with your tribe, right? Possibly your therapist. And we've also talked about forgiving yourself because you just didn't know any better, right? So, you know, I think also my final piece of advice would be, number one, you've got this. But also, let's look at and reframe what co-parenting looks like. So I do have some family members that their girlfriends knew that, you know, the dad wasn't anything, like, and just chose not to be a part of their life. So they coupled up with another girlfriend and they co-parent the child, right? And I was like, genius. So you could really have the life that, you know, you want, or the co-parenting relationship that you want, you know, with your sister girls, with your girlfriends. Maybe y'all could look at buying a 2-family house, right? And so one weekend the girlfriend gets them, another weekend you keep the kids. Like, there's a lot of different ways for you to look at your situation and to find reprieve, right? So we got to get creative about this thing. Like, you want to go on vacation, call your good girlfriend up. Hey, girl, I'm thinking I want to take the kids. Like, what if we take the kids on a cruise or whatever the case may be, so that there's another set of eyes, right, on your kids, and possibly even splitting the bill. You know what I'm saying? So just get creative in the way that you think about and handle your co-parenting situation. It doesn't always have to be with the parent, that helped make them, right? And if we're lucky, then we get a good step parent. You know what I'm saying? Got to be outside. And if you need help with any of those things, how to be outside, some ideas about how to co-parent, or even just how to deal with the parent that, the absentee parent, and your feelings around that, get at me. I have a website and I never shout it out. So it's www.SherelleEvansTillery.com. And so you can send me a message in there if you want to, talk a little bit more. So next week we will be talking about, the ways that the absentee parent affects our childhood and in turn affects our adulthood, right? There are some things that happened in childhood and some messages, like I shared last week, that carried over into how I show up in relationships. So we're just going to dive a little bit deeper into that next week. And so thank you guys so much for joining. I appreciate you. And I'll see you guys next week. Thanks. Bye.